Welcome to Dave's Hunting, Shooting, and Bushcraft. This week's all about tanning hides. I'm going to show you the easiest way I've found to tan a hide. Not the quickest, but the easiest. Stay tuned. So I made a frame for the hide. It's small. Give you a perspective. If you compare it to me, I made it a little over 5 feet. And I don't know. We'll see how it works. I figure I could go corner to corner if I needed, but we'll see. We're making all these little bindings to tie to the frame. So I was making a bunch of them. I had some these are old tent cords from canopies and stuff that we no longer had, so that's what I'm using. I know it's probably not the most ideal because it's nylon, but that's what I got. That's what we're going to use. Find a bitter end and then just measure off like a chest to arm length. I don't know how long I'm going to need for sure, but I figure since my frame is short, I'm not going to need a huge amount. And then at the end, I'm just making a little loop so it can loop through the hide real quick. So this end will go on the hide, and then this end will tie onto the frame. So let's jump into the power washing. Some things to keep in mind when you set up to do this. One, make sure your hide is on a hard surface. You can see I have it sitting on concrete. If you don't have a concrete pad, put down a piece of plywood or hang it from a fence. Somehow you need a hard surface behind it. Try to keep your hide flat. That makes it much easier to use the power washer. Be careful not to power wash in one area too long because it is powerful, so it can puncture the hide, so you want to be careful of that. Have a towel nearby to wipe off your face because you're going to get wet, so you can see. Wear safety glasses and keep your mouth closed. I believe we got it. I'm not 100% sure. It did get to a fairly good consistency. I found if I went any deeper than this, I started to do this. Tear it up. Started to make holes in it like that. So I figured that was probably deep enough. And when you get past the water and feel it, it doesn't feel like fat anymore. It feels different, more like a hide. So I think I got it. So up next, we're gonna rinse it, and then we're gonna wash it. We're gonna rinse it a few times. You do it till the water's clear. So let's see what we get. Water dirty. I mean, back when I was 20, it probably did pretty good. Today, it ain't happening like that. Alright. That was pretty nasty. Do another round. I got the last round. After it's all rinsed, I'll bring it back when we wash it. So I'm using a quarter cup of clothes washing detergent. And just mixed in the water here. End up having to rinse this 2 times. After the second time, it was pretty clear. After washing the hide, then we'll need to rinse it 1 time and then put it out to dry for a couple hours. I got a pole hanging up over there to hang it out to dry for a minute, and then we're going to take it in, punch holes around, trim the edge, anything that's nasty looking, punch holes around it, and then start securing it to the frame. So let me get this rinsed. We'll bring you back when it's ready. Hide dried for a little bit. So now
I'm going to punch holes and trim off any hide that I don't want, and then put holes all around it so I can tie it on the frame. So anyway, that's what's next. And as I put a hole in, I'll go ahead and put the line on it. So, all right. So I last left you. I've added quite a few, and I found my big screwdriver. You do need a big Phillips head screwdriver. The small one was not working. If you're using cordage like I am, I'm using nylon cordage, which is bigger, so makes a difference. But once I did that, this has gone rather smoothly. I know I'll have to add some once I get it up, but for now, it's working pretty good. And it's driving Lily nuts because she wants to find all the pieces and eat them. She's wanting to chew on the hide. So, now right, Lily, you're a hide chewer. Well, that's true. A lot of dogs are, aren't they, baby? That's where you get rawhide from, Daddy. That's right. The other thing I noticed is that as you're doing this, when you punch a hole, hairs fall out. So just be ready for that. Do it in an area that you don't mind having hairs, like I am. All right, so we're going to go ahead and hang this up. And let me see, find the tall spot. No, I guess roughly there's head to tail. So let's put head here. I don't know. Hopefully this will work. The frame may be too small.
I found that hanging the hide is a lot easier said than done. There's a lot of give and take, and I ended up redoing parts of it like 2 or 3 times before I finally was somewhat satisfied with it. So my advice here is just take your time and you'll get it. It's it is what it is. It's a hide hung up on a frame, so just do the best you can, and you just want it taut enough that you can put the tanning solution on it.
This hide will want to stretch, will want to tighten up a whole lot because of drying. So this compound is a mixture of, this is alum that I ordered. We'll have to open up. So alum and borax. And the ratio is 200 grams of each. And I got a glass mixing bowl where to mix it in. And then once you get the borax and alum in there, you just add water, you mix it so it becomes a paste. What you do then is just with your hands, we're going to take this and rub it into the I did say you want to put a good amount on. So, trying to do that. Mine is a little bit runnier.
Once I finish rubbing in the paste on the hide, it'll need to sit for 24 hours until it's good and dry. And then we're ready for the next step, scraping it off.
All right, it looks like it's finally dried. And so, next step is to scrape all this off. I said use a spoon, which looks like it's going to work pretty well. I ended up having to put a fan on it for about 6 hours to get it to dry. I guess the difference is we're more humid here than probably where the fellow was that filmed it or put the video mix. So let's get this all done. And then once I get this scraped, this out of the way and sweep it up. All right, let me get a new batch mixed up.
Like last time, the hide will need to set another 24 hours. And this will allow the paste to dry.
That's right, Billy, working on your favorite thing again. Alrighty. So, day 2, round 2, get it all scraped off.
After the paste is all scraped off, we apply another round of fresh paste to the hide, and it will sit now for 5 days.
Well, we'll see. 5 days. Bring you back then. Whew. Alright, it's been actually a little over 5 days since we put this one with the borax and alum mix. So it's time to scrape, and so I'm gonna try something different scraping off than the spoon. The spoon was okay, but wasn't the most efficient. Let's see if we can't make it a little bit better and not have to. Yeah, it's much better. What about this one? How does this one do? Actually, this one works better. It's the weight of it, I think, gives you the advantage. Really leans into it a little bit. Takes the stuff right out. Let me bring it back when I'm done. Alright, so scraped, and look, I had a mess up. My scraper got caught on the edge and ripped that, and then I did a mess up right here. But the rest was fine. I think the reason that they want you to use a spoon, it's very non-aggressive, whereas the handyman I'm using, or nail, what is it called? I-beam bar. It's like a handyman's, a little bit sharper than, but the edges are a little bit sharper. So I had to hold it at a lot, at a less of an angle. Also, that worked better for taking the heavy stuff off. And then I use this, which is dull end, but it has a straight dull end. This worked better for going around and getting all the finer pieces off. So anyway. If you want to use a spoon, use a spoon. The problem I had with the spoon, it's very painful holding it in my hands for such a long time. So I was really struggling with that. So I had to find, and yeah, you're like, Dave, you wait till the last scraping? So yeah, kind of dumb. But anyway, so the last thing I do before I will trim, so I'm going to trim this out. And before I do that, I'll go right there. And before I trim it out is to go around and sand it, making sure it's all level and smooth. So I'm going to do that. I have 220 grit sandpaper and just a sanding block. I'm not putting a whole lot of pressure on it, just a little. Let me finish up the sanding and I'll bring it back when I'm done. I don't know, I sanded for, about half an hour. To me, it feels pretty smooth. what I started to notice where I sand is you could see the creamy color coming through. So I guess that's what I was looking for. I was battling things like this right here, where thinking maybe that was still some of the mixture. But actually, it's just where the hide is a little thicker and trying to sand it down. But being careful not to sand through the hide. So, because that's definitely a problem I'm having. Is that at this stage I can push through and cut it pretty easily, and I don't want to. So the next step is, in your mind, figure out how you kind of want your hide to look, end product. And this is kind of mine. And you trim it out, and then you take this piece, and we're going to treat it with the neat's feet. That'll be what's next. I'll brush it off and we'll treat it. So here we go. Now, hopefully I can make good straight cuts. Kind of go where I want. If I have a good sharp knife. Do that. There we go. So, probably my hide. Gotta fix my hole there. So that's it. And also teach me how to cape one a little bit better. See, I definitely saved some of the hind legs, but I didn't do anything to do out on the front, nor go up on the neck any. But this side, bullet holes. Get that cleaned up. That side looks alright. And, is it super malleable right now? No. But, alright, let me get this cleaned up and then we'll come back and do the neat's feet. You see, it's kind of a white creamy color right now. And it says when you apply the neat's feet, it may tan it or turn it to the darker. Darken it. But basically, this says just rub it in. If I can get it open, we'll give it a whirl. So that's what we're going to do. Now, the other option, you do not have to use neat's feet. You can use a stretching post and take your hide out and stretch the fibers until you get the softness you want. The problem, I just don't know that I could do that today. So we're going to go with another method. I'm going to cheat, actually. That's what I'm going to do. We're going to put some of this oil in and it's interesting, some of this, as I'm rubbing it, it's starting to feel like leather. The process of stretching a hide, to give it softness that's no easy task. I mean, you do that for a while, and that's fine. You got the energy and stamina, but as you get a little older, sometimes it's, is there another way to do this? And that's how I found it, out this process. And then checking, use this things that are, you know, not new. I mean, alum's been around for a long time. So has borax. Let me get this edge again over here real quick. Then I'm just going to fold it on itself. Let's see what happens. Come back and check on it later today. Hey, it's Dave. So let me wrap up this video on tanning a hide and tell you a couple of the things that I learned through the process. And I'm getting ready to do my second hide. And I'm going to do it the same way. So I bought into this process. But there's a couple things I learned. So one, on the power washing. So it is probably a time saver. This hide, my very first one, to get all the flesh off, took about a little over an hour of pressure washing. Now, on the second hide, I changed nozzles to one with a little bit higher pressure, and it sped up the process. I probably finished that hide in about 45 minutes. It's a little bit smaller hide, but still the process went quicker and was more thorough. I didn't have to go back and redo a couple spots like I did on this hide. So that worked out. As far as doing the borax and alum, that mixture, I think it did a really nice job of tanning the hide. The scraping with the spoon is hard. If you have some kind of implement that allows your hands to grip a little bit better, that would probably work better. I found that a handyman worked good for me. You have to be careful that you don't puncture the hide. I found that my frame's too small for a deer hide, although it fit on there. And this is not a big, this is a small deer hide. Well, maybe, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's probably small. From here to here is how long the deer was. So I didn't do any of the neck. So I don't know, it's probably like medium. But the frame needed to be probably 6 feet minimum of height and width. Ropes, the way I did to attach it, I think worked fine. I would prefer twine, I think, versus the nylon, but nylon's what I had, so that's what I used. Once the tanning was done, I did not stretch the hide. I just used the Neat's feet, and it did a nice job. Now, it may seem a little stiff to you, but it actually feels nice and soft. Has a nice leathery smell to it, and so I'm very pleased with that. It's not perfect. The hide wasn't perfect to begin with. It's the first one that I've ever done, and I didn't do a good job of squaring it up when I trimmed it. So, but you can see, I mean, it turned out pretty good for my first one, so I'm pleased with it. So the second one, we'll see how it goes. I plan on doing the same process. This one I oiled twice. I probably didn't need to. The second oiling, most of it just sat on top and I had to wipe it off. So yeah, one oiling was enough. So that's probably the third, fourth thing, whatever. What I learned about the Neat's feet process was if you put another oiling on, some of it will absorb, but if it's too saturated, it's going to sit on top. This is, for me at my age, this is a much more doable process. Not that the, tanning hide brain, I think, is very doable. I also learned I need to do a better job of trimming the hide, some of the meat off the hide. I did not do as good as I could have, especially on the second hide. So, yeah, a little bit more time spent there will be an easier process when I power wash. So, yeah, overall, the borax alum process worked fine. I was very impressed with it. So, yeah, I'm going to keep that and do it again. Maybe someday I'll try braining a hide and see how that goes. If you have any questions or comments on this, let me know. I'll put a link to Bushcraft Tools, I think is the name of the fellow who showed it to me. I don't think he invented it because I saw it online under how-tos, tan a hide. It was one of the options. So, but I do think it's an easier process of
But also, here's another takeaway. None of the processes are easy. This takes time. It took an hour to flush, an hour each time to get the borax alum mixture off the hide. So that was 3 times I had to do that. So that's 4 hours just alone in that. Probably not all together, everything else, trimming the hide and stuff, probably another hour. So 5 hours of effort. But you got to wait in between too. And then a lot of cleanup. So it's the processes are messy. So none of that goes away. So the time and some of the effort. What is easier is the flushing using the power washer. But once you flush, you can go to different processes however you want. I like the borax alum because it's a very basic process. I mean, those are my thoughts, way more than what you probably want to deal with. So, hey, I really appreciate you tuning in to watch this. I showed you my first time doing it and how it turned out, and you know, it is a success. So, yeah, we have a tanned hide, and so I'm pretty pleased with it. So, yeah, thanks for tuning in. Like I always say, make kindness your business. Do something kind for somebody. There are lots of neat little articles and stuff you can find on people doing kindness. One of the news articles or news things I get shares each weekend an act of kindness. And maybe I'll share some of those with you that people are doing. So, yeah, that's good to see. Kindness takes an act on your part. So make the effort. Make somebody's day a little bit brighter. All right. For Dave and Lily, out.